Welcome to Life Stories, real tales that stir your soul and make you question everything you thought you knew about love, loyalty, and what it means to finally choose yourself. Imagine coming home after a warm family weekend, only to open your banking app and find your entire savings, over $9,000, vanished. No break in, no hacker, just one chilling truth. The people who took it were the very ones hugging you hours earlier, laughing over dinner, calling you the strong one. What would you do if your own family stole from you and didn't even flinch? This isn't just a story about betrayal. It's about a woman who stayed silent for too long until one day she didn't. Subscribe to our channel to begin today's story, because sometimes the people who break you are the ones who never thought you'd fight back. Rachel Bennett returned to her one-bedroom apartment in Portland just after 9 p.m., her body aching from the weekend-long family gathering in Cannon Beach. The echo of clinking glasses, children's laughter, and her mother's soft voice humming in the kitchen still lingered in her mind. The house had felt warm, familiar, safe. She kicked off her shoes, sank into the worn couch, and pulled out her phone. Just a quick money transfer for the electric bill, she thought. Routine, mundane. But when the banking app loaded, she froze. $83.52. She blinked, reloaded, checked again, then again. The number didn't change. Just 2 days ago, the account had over $9,000. It was like her heart forgot how to beat. Her fingers trembled as she dialed the bank. Her voice cracked under the weight of panic. After answering security questions, the rep spoke in that calm, detached tone that somehow made things worse. The transactions were made from a device previously logged in, same IP as your personal computer. Rachel didn't wait to hear the rest. Keys, jacket, purse. She was out the door, tires screeching against wet asphalt as she sped toward her mother's house. That same house where they had just celebrated Grandma Ellen's birthday, where Jessica poured wine and Tyler grilled steaks in the rain like some suburban hero. That house, that kitchen, had felt like home just hours ago. Now it felt like a crime scene. She stepped inside without knocking. The scent of pot roast still lingered in the air. Her hands were ice cold. Jessica was curled up on the living room couch, swirling red wine in a glass, her legs crossed, face lit by the glow of the television. She looked up, surprised but unfazed. "You're back early," she said casually. Rachel swallowed hard. "I checked my account." From the kitchen, Tyler walked out with a soda in hand. He leaned against the fridge like he owned it. "Oh, that," he said, smirking. "We needed that money more than you." Her ears rang. She stared at him, blinking. "You what?" Jessica chuckled softly. "Don't be so dramatic, Rachel. You're doing fine. No debt, no kids, great job. You live alone. You don't need that kind of money." Rachel turned to her mother, who was seated by the window knitting, calm as ever. "Mom, did you know?" Lynn didn't look up. "You're always so sensitive, sweetheart. You have more than enough. What's wrong with helping a little?" Her father, Frank, barely glanced up from his phone. "Don't make a scene. It's family business." She felt like the floor had cracked beneath her feet. Her voice broke. "How did you even access my account?" Jessica shrugged. "Your info was saved on Mom's computer. You didn't log out." Like it was her fault. Rachel's fists clenched at her sides. "So you saw my account and just helped yourselves?" Tyler gave a lazy shrug. "It's not like we bought designer bags. It was for groceries, rent, Emma's school stuff. You wouldn't want your niece to go without, would you?" She looked at them all. Not one apology, not one flicker of guilt. "I never agreed to any of this." Jessica sighed and rolled her eyes. "You're being selfish." That word snapped something in Rachel. Her purse strap slid off her shoulder. No one stopped her. Her mother simply muttered, "Don't forget Sunday dinner." Rachel's voice was quiet, deadly. "If you think I'm just going to let this go, wait and see." Jessica raised her glass. "Honestly, Rachel, you're being so theatrical." She walked out into the rain, each drop heavier than the last. But inside her, a different kind of storm was beginning. Quieter, more dangerous. It was the storm of someone who'd been taken for granted for too long. Someone finally ready to stop being the family's invisible backbone. She didn't go home. Not yet. Instead, She parked near Laurelhurst Park, where she usually jogged on Saturdays. The rain made the trees shimmer, but she saw none of it. She stared at her phone. That cold, mocking number still sat on the screen, $83.52. She scrolled through her memory. Every time she bailed them out. Every, just until next week, and you're the only one we can count on. Tyler's overdue rent, Jessica's down payment on a new car, Mom's electric bill. Birthday gifts that cost more than her entire grocery budget for the month. They never asked if she was okay. They just assumed she would be, because she had always been. Rachel opened her notes app and started typing. Not to demand anything back, but to remember. To never forget what it felt like to be treated not as a daughter or a sister, but as a wallet with a beating heart. By the time the rain slowed, her resolve had crystallized. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Would you have confronted your family if they did this to you? Is it ever okay to take from someone just because they can afford it? Follow the next chapter to find out what Rachel does next and how one quiet woman starts a storm no one saw coming. Rachel didn't sleep that night. She sat at her kitchen table, a single lamp casting golden light across her worn laptop and the stack of bank statements she'd printed after speaking with the fraud department. The quiet of the apartment felt foreign. For once, no buzzing phone, no late-night text from Jessica asking for a quick favor, no email from Tyler about just one more thing. Just silence. And numbers. So many numbers. 17 pages of transactions. She went through them with a red pen, circling anything suspicious. Multiple transfers totaling thousands. Small purchases that stacked up like bricks. $76 at a liquor store, $189 at a toy shop, $820 for a car repair. Then one that stopped her cold, $2,785.43. An anonymous withdrawal routed through her mother's IP address. She stared at it for a long time. Rachel had used her mom's desktop a few times over the years, but never for banking. Only emails, calendars. So how had her login been saved? Someone had gone back. Someone had remembered. Someone had waited. She leaned back in her chair, her eyes stinging. The next morning, she put on a crisp navy blazer, gathered every printed statement, transaction receipt, and screenshot she had kept over the years, not out of paranoia, but instinct, and walked into the downtown financial crimes division. Detective Monroe, a woman in her late 30s with steady eyes and short auburn hair, took her case. Rachel handed over a USB drive and a folder bursting with proof. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It's been building for years. They didn't just borrow. They helped themselves. Monroe looked her in the eye. You're saying it wasn't authorized? No, Rachel said. And this time, I'm not letting it slide. By the time she left the station, the gray Portland sky had cracked open with a drizzle, but Rachel felt something different inside her. A shift. A quiet kind of courage. The kind you don't roar with. The kind you build one choice at a time. 2 weeks later, it all erupted. She was halfway through a Zoom meeting when her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She stepped out onto her balcony and answered. Miss Bennett, this is Detective Monroe. We've completed our preliminary investigation. We have enough to move forward. The investigative team is visiting the addresses today. Rachel didn't speak. She couldn't. That evening, as she prepped dinner, the messages came in like a flood. Call me now. Rachel, what are you doing? You really called the cops on your own family? She didn't answer any of them. An hour later, a text from an old neighbor lit up her phone. There are 3 people in black jackets outside your mom's house. They're asking questions about you. Rachel set the phone down. Her hand was steady. The next morning at work, her manager pulled her aside. We got a call from a local reporter asking to verify your employment for a financial investigation. We didn't say anything. But if you need time, she smiled, calm and certain. No, I'm doing the right thing. Later that night, she sat by the window, legs curled beneath her, sipping tea. Outside, Portland lights twinkled across the rainy glass. Inside, her world was quieter now. Not because everything was fixed, but because for the first time, she wasn't trying to fix everyone else. The silence wasn't empty. It was hers. Her phone buzzed again, this time a voicemail from her mother. Rachel, this is going too far. We never meant to hurt you. Can you please just call me back? We're family. Rachel closed her eyes. There it was again. That word. Family. But family shouldn't feel like chains. She played the message twice, then deleted it. The next day, Monroe called again. We've confirmed the withdrawals. Jessica is being investigated for unauthorized transfers. Tyler's involved too. And your parents. Some of the funds were used to pay off a mortgage they weren't supposed to have. There's a chance the house could be repossessed. Rachel didn't cry. She didn't even flinch. Instead, she felt a strange peace settle over her. Not satisfaction. Not revenge. Just relief. That night, as she watched the rain paint silver streaks down her window, a line from the past echoed in her head. You're the strong one in the family. You can handle it. But no one ever asked if she wanted to. What would you have done if your entire family betrayed your trust like this? Is forgiveness always the right path, or is drawing a line the only way to reclaim yourself? Follow the next part of Rachel's story as she walks away from everything familiar and toward a life she never knew she could have. Rachel didn't answer a single call for the next week. The messages kept coming. Tyler's number popped up again and again until she blocked it. Jessica switched to email. My account is frozen. I can't pay Emma's tuition. You win. Are you happy now? That last sentence turned Rachel's stomach. You win. As if this were a game. As if she'd pulled the rug from under them for sport. But she hadn't. She had simply stopped holding it up. Detective Monroe called a few days later. Jessica and Tyler have been officially named in the report. Your parents may be charged for using misappropriated funds to cover part of their mortgage. Rachel stood silent at her window as the rain picked up again. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. All she felt was free. That evening, Frank finally messaged. Her father, the man who rarely called unless it was about a leaking pipe or a Sunday roast, had typed a single line. The bank issued a foreclosure notice. If we don't pay, we lose the house in 30 days. No apology, no recognition, just a threat disguised as information, as if she were still the family's emergency button. She stared at the message for a full minute. Then, for the first time in years, she did nothing. On Saturday, Rachel drove along the Oregon coast alone, winding through fog and pine toward Cannon Beach. She parked by the cliffs where her father once taught her how to fish as a child. The same man who now looked at her not as a daughter, but as a safety net. The ocean wind whipped at her coat, the salt air biting and real. No one knew where she was. No one had asked how she was doing. The same family that once called her the lifeline now only reached for her to save what they had broken. Her phone buzzed again. Please don't abandon us, her mother's text read. If we lose the house, I don't know how I'll survive. It wasn't about Rachel. It never had been. Not a single message asking if she was okay. She put her phone face down on the passenger seat and stepped into the sand. That day, something inside her shifted for good. 3 weeks later, Rachel filed for an extended leave of absence, packed 2 suitcases into a rented sedan, and left Portland without a single goodbye. She drove across the country in silence, stopping only for gas and sleep until she reached Asheville, North Carolina, a place she'd passed through years ago during a conference. Back then, she'd only stayed half a day. But something about the sleepy cafes, the jazz echoing from bookstore speakers, the mountains that kissed the sky, it had stayed with her. Now it would become home. She rented a small studio with white walls and big windows, bought fresh flowers, filled the space with light and quiet, and for the first time in years, didn't have to leave space for anyone else's crisis. She changed her number, not out of malice, but out of mercy. Mercy for herself. Within weeks, her health began to shift. She slept longer, breathed easier, ate without rushing. The anxiety that once curled like a vine around her chest began to loosen. Her boss, Mr. Dalton, called. Rachel, I just read your new campaign strategy. Have you ever considered taking over the entire West Coast division? She paused, gazing out at the pine trees glowing in morning light. A year ago, she would have hesitated. Now, she smiled. I'm ready. That night, she curled up in a knit blanket on the balcony, a cup of tea warming her hands. She hadn't escaped. She had finally arrived. The messages had slowed to a trickle. She hadn't heard from Jessica in a month. Tyler's last attempt was a blocked email. Her parents? Silence. But Rachel didn't need closure. She didn't need anyone to finally say, thank you, or I'm sorry, because the biggest shift had already happened. She had stopped asking permission to put herself first. And then, on a slow Sunday morning, her inbox lit up with a message from a name she barely remembered. Samantha Hayes. Jessica's cousin-in-law. Quiet, kind, barely said a word at family events. You probably don't remember me, but I just wanted to say thank you. I heard what you did. I was stuck in the same cycle. My family expected me to fix everything just because I had it easier. But after hearing your story, I realized that saying no isn't selfish, it's survival. You gave me the courage to choose myself for once. Thank you. Rachel read the message twice, then again. She wasn't proud, she wasn't triumphant, she was understood. A week later, another postcard arrived from Kelly, a former coworker now living in Italy. You showed me what it means to set boundaries without guilt. I moved to Rome, finally. Thank you. Rachel placed the postcard on her bookshelf next to a small vase of dried lavender and the journal she now wrote in every morning. Not about bills or balance transfers or excuses, but about moments, small joys, a life that was finally her own. She hadn't lost her family. She had redefined it. One crisp fall afternoon, she walked through a park full of golden leaves. A little girl whizzed by on her bike, her mother laughing behind her. Rachel stood still for a moment, coffee warming her hands. She used to believe love meant holding on tighter. Now, she knew sometimes love meant letting go, with grace, with strength, and without apology. And in the quiet, she whispered aloud to no one, I am not your lifeline anymore. I am my own. What do you think about Rachel's choice? Did she do the right thing by walking away, even from family? If this story moved you, comment 100 below and tell us where in the world you're watching from. And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, share it with them. Because sometimes choosing yourself is the most powerful thing you'll ever do.